Hello, everyone. We are joined by JonahP from Sentinels coming in after their 2-0 win against 2G today. First of all, congratulations on the win. You guys look super confident going in. Was it the preparation or, was it something else? Were you just feeling it today? What was it?
Probably a mix of everything. We It couldn't have gotten worse from last week. Individual play from me or everybody in team play. So we kind of just took that loss from last week and made sure that we just didn't repeat what happened, and that's probably why we looked had a lot more energy and just more action comms and we're just on the same page today.
I mean, it certainly looked like it, especially on that map number one. So you guys look so confident. But, on Split, there was a little bit of a comeback. So I did notice
Yeah.
that there was a very impactful timeout after which you guys pulled it together. So what exactly was the plan and how were you able to recover from it? Because the last few times it happened, unfortunately, the comeback did happen. So this time, what was different?
Um, Well, I think I was having a hard time on A site maintaining Jenem, the Viper on the other team.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, like he was having a really good game, so he was max confidence, so he was willing to take his fights early on me, and I was kind of struggling to basically keep him at bay and also like win the challenges that he gave me. And if he didn't challenge me, I think one round he caught a timing where he flanked my flanked Cortez rope. So
Hmm.
I was having a hard time, and I let everyone know that like I'm pretty stressed today. Like I need help, and the tac pause, honestly. Don't tell my coach, but I don't really remember what he said. And if I think about it more, it'll come to me. But yeah, we kind of just um, I think we ended up playing like more retake because you know Jenem was just kind of winning the rounds for his team, and so kind of just gave him a bit more respect. And then if we didn't give a first pick early, then we would just win on our retakes and stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, you certainly had some really good retakes. I remember that 1v4 by johnqt. So how has it been I asked this to Jerwood as well, but how has it been to have your IGL step up and, get into that duelist role for the rest of the team?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty fun. I think it makes it easier for him to call. Not like easier, like kind of in the way that's like it's less stressful for him because he's willing to just make space, run it down, and then IGL from the back if he ends up dying.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think we've been practicing for a while, a couple of weeks with him on Phoenix. So yeah, overall in scrims, it's felt good, and that's why we were confident in showing it today.
It looked really good. I don't think anybody really has any complaints in that regard. And
Yeah.
talking about your next opponents, would you rather face Crew or Fluxo? And a couple of more games before you get to the playoffs. So how are you feeling after finally getting a win? It's been a bit of a rough couple of weeks so far.
Yeah, it feels good to get a win. To who I want to play more. I mean, I would like Fluxo to win just because they're tier two, and I feel like the tier two teams here haven't had much success. So, potentially them having success against Crew, then hopefully not us would be nice. But on the other side, I would like to rematch Crew. They've beaten us a couple weeks ago, and they also beat us stage one. So, yeah, I would like to play both teams, but if I had to pick in the end, I would pick Crew.
Yeah, you need revenge from that group stage, huh?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, you guys are a relatively newer team compared to the rest of the rosters this year. You coming into the team and Jerwin joining, and of course Ewok joining. So, how have you guys been able to kind of build that trust and chemistry? Because over time, it looked a little bit rough in the middle, but today you guys look super confident. So, how did that kind of happen? What did you guys do? Do you play a lot of rank? Do you go out for K barbecue? Like, what's up?
Honestly, just super long days at the office together. We do a lot of server time, a lot of VOD review, and a lot of scrims. This week we did a few less scrims and more like individual work, like setups, lineups, ranked death matches, stuff like that. Um, and I think it helped a lot for this week. Kind of less reps and more basically just self and individual focus. So, I think that was really good. And I mean, it's been a grind. I think, we practice like 6 days a week, and it's nice to show that it's paying off with a win. We kind of been in a drought recently, so but yeah, we're looking forward to keeping this run going.
hmm And talking about long days, so I think Ewok also mentioned this. I interviewed him right after he joined Sentinels, and I was asking him like, "What are you doing different?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're having really long days." So I would like to hear more about like what your average day looks like. It would be nice for the Sen fans if they could hear it.
Average day, um, on average day is like 10:30, 10 a.m. to 10:30 start, and then probably wrap up everything around 7, 8 p.m. And it's normally like, a couple hours of VOD review server time. We eat together, and then we play how many scrims we have, 4 or 5, and then more server time at the end. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Makes sense. Okay. And out of curiosity, who do you like duo most with on the team?
Duo, I would say Cortez.
Cortez?
Yeah.
Of course, this year has been a little bit easier for initiators, but still kind of rough compared to last year. So, as an initiator main, how has the meta been treating you, and how have you been first personally dealing with the nerfs and all the patch changes and everything else?
I think the biggest difference is kind of there's more of like a load on initiator's shoulders. Like you said, used to be double initiator, one info, one supporting, or even double info. So it's kind of it's a big role, a big responsibility, and I don't mind it. I'm capable of it. I like it, and I definitely have room to improve on my timings and util, but overall, I think it's nice. I definitely wouldn't mind another buff. Maybe go back to 40-second cooldowns. Maybe take off another 10 more seconds. I wouldn't mind that.
I feel like that's a common theme for every initiator player. Give us more utility. We need it.
Okay.
But I also have noticed that this year it's been a very heavy double duelist meta, probably because of the sheer amounts of util that you need to make anything happen. So, what's your opinion on that? The Neon Phoenix is very strong right now. A lot of teams running that as well.
Yeah. I think it's nice. I enjoy it. I know a lot of pretty much every meta people don't really like. But yeah, I like this meta has I feel like a good balance. You can play super fast pace or even play slow
hmm
with Phoenix. Um, but yeah, I still think Phoenix a little too strong. I wouldn't mind if Neon, you know, got another nerf all the duelists, make my life easier. But yeah, I think it's fun. I like being able to switch up the pace.
Fair enough. And I mean, they did kind of nerf Phoenix with the 7-point ult. I don't know if it's
Oh,
a
we
that big a nerf.
Yeah. Maybe 9. I'll go with 9.
9 ult, really? That's like a
Yeah,
breach
why
ult.
not?
Oh God. I don't know. As an
All right,
ult
you
farmer, I
rather
would be
breach
very
out
sad.
or Phoenix ult? What
Sorry,
do you
what?
say?
I said as an altar farmer, I would be very sad. But what did you say? I didn't hear
Oh,
you.
I said, would you rather a breach alt or a Phoenix alt?
A Phoenix ult, at least for
Exactly.
me, because I like playing Phoenix. I don't like playing Breach. I'm biased, so.
That's funny. I like I kind of miss breach. I used to hate playing breach because I played it on every single map, but I miss breach.
Ah, yes, the good old days of the support initiator instead of having to lock in Fade and Sova every map. Do you ever get bored? Out of curiosity.
Bored? No, not really. Um, I did get bored on breach though last year, but right now I'm not bored at all. I enjoy it a lot.
That's nice to hear. All right, and of course, talking about Summit, what's your opinion on the map? As an initiator player with a lot of places where people can camp, how is it to deal with?
Um, I personally I like Summit a lot. I
hmm
think Fade is super fun. My Fade eyes always get insane value because I feel like not a lot of people are familiar with like Fade eye spots and stuff like that. So it's probably why it's my favorite map. So I'm always scanning people. Um, but yeah, it does it does make it so I have to be careful of how I use my prowlers, and it's a lot more contacty, so you could get punished by ops and stuff. So I say that's like the only like downside to it, like in my point of view.
hmm
But overall, I enjoy it a lot.
And of course, talking about Fade so do you just sit in a custom and try to work out lineups, or does Ewok or someone else do it for you? Like I've always been curious about it, because you guys have such fire lineups. So do you do it yourself, or?
Um, I do, but I would say probably like 70% of the lineups I get are from Gunter, assistant coach.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's like so many like TikToks and shorts that I like that always show up on my feed, and I either I take their lineups or something like that. But I would say majority of my lineups come from Gunter.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. And of course, I think that for Sen to qualify, you guys got to make it all the way to the top two. It's been a little bit
Yeah.
of a rough year, but and for you as well, personally, it's been a year of transition after playing with the same team for a while. You've come into a new team, new teammates and stuff. So, how has your journey been so far? And honestly, like, what would you be like? What would be your expectation for the year?
My journey so far, I would say it's been up and down, but last year I feel like was pretty privileged to be you know um being able to win all the regionals. This year I think every team is just upgraded in some sort of way. Last year was not, and North America wasn't really competitive. This year I think there's so many good teams now. Lev, NRG, MIBR, 100 Thieves too. I think the differences are just massive. And what was the last part of the question?
I was asking you like, what's your biggest expectation or goal for this year?
Oh yeah. I mean, my expectations goal is just to, you know, give it our all and just try as hard as we can, and the results will come to us if we earn it and work hard, and it's pretty much it. Just take one game at a time, and don't expect to qualify for champs, but you also can't expect to not qualify. It doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense in my head. So I just
Just one
one
game at
game
a
at
time.
yeah, exactly.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's very fair. And you personally, who would you say is like your biggest inspiration or role model?
Biggest
It
inspiration,
could be
role
someone
model.
outside of esports or in esports. It doesn't have to be like a Valorant player.
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, I mean, I would say my inspiration is probably my girlfriend. She pushes me to work very hard, and she's been by my side since the very beginning of my career when I was a nobody. So she's been with me the whole time, and she's not the type to when I lose, she's like, oh, like, so sorry, you'll get them next time. She's the type to tell me what what I did wrong, and but not like that harsh, but you know what I mean. She's kind of like lights the fire under me, and
Uh,
so yeah, I'll say she's my inspiration.
does she do like VOD review at home?
Um, no, sometimes like when I VOD review, like I'll either tell her stuff or she'll ask about it, but no, she doesn't do any of that. And I'm probably being a little like too harsh. She doesn't like yell at me and tell me what I did wrong, but
I
she's
don't
like,
know.
but yeah, she's there for me, and I appreciate her.
I always need someone to keep you going. That's pretty fair. And that's very sweet. I also do see her tweets every now and then. I remember how pissed off she was last year. So we love a warrior. We love a warrior queen in this house.
Yeah, she's great.
And if you had to say that there's one thing that you've really worked on and improved this year in terms of yourself, what would that be? Whether it's in game or out of game.
Um, I would say trying to be um, more consistent personally, like into my individual play, because I always know that um, I will be able to support my teammates. I always know my comms will be good. And so yeah, I think just my individual mechanics, that's like my biggest focus personally.
Okay, and I think last question before I let you go because we're almost out of time. So
Yeah.
of course it's been a very long year for you, but like you said, lots of ups and downs. So what do you think is the most important thing that you learned that you like to tell other players, both in tier one or tier two, who might look to you as an inspiration or something?
The most important thing is to expect to lose. You can't win every game, so um, like you can't go into being a professional in anything and think you're gonna win everything. So it's how you handle the losses that make you a good player. So
Out of curiosity, like what's a good way to handle loss?
um, don't feel sorry or bad for yourself. Think of ways to, improve and fix the mistakes that were made, and being comfortable speaking up and asking for help if you need help with something, and just being open about it.
Awesome. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much, Jonah, for today. Good luck for your next game. And yeah, great game today. It was pretty fun to watch.
Appreciate it. It's nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Bye bye.